Welcome to Being Free from Anxiety. My name is Emma Upton and I'm here to spill all the tea on what it actually means to be anxiety free. When we don't have anxiety, we learn who we're here to be, what we're here to do, and then our unique body of work locked inside the codes of our DNA gets to flow through. It's as easy and not simple as eating cake and drinking tea. So join me as we dive in together to today's episode. Cheers. Hello, welcome to episode 21. I want to talk about anxiety because I'm obsessed with anxiety and being anxiety free. I want to talk about how it happens. For me, I have a really logical, I know that might sound weird, but I have a mind that wants to get it. Understanding science, understanding quantum physics, understanding that part of the world of stuff that I can actually tangibly hold on to made a lot of my more be able to come through because my brain was so busy thinking about how it all works that it was able to make space actually I call it an entry-level access point. And what I love is giving enough information, and I always use the analogy of a closed door, giving enough information that you can just kind of get your fingers around the edge of the door to start to open it. What the brain wants to do is, I call it the emotional safe house. And it just takes us back to what is familiar, locks us in the emotional safe house, and I depict the door as this literal safe. So turns the door and locks everything in. Our job is to be able to just, when you catch a door and you can just get your fingertips in to be able to open it. That notion of just enough leverage to get your fingers through the door to be able to start to perceive marginally differently, that requires effort. That requires, I want to do this. That door wants to slam shut and it's a big old heavy door and it's done it for so long. To be willing to put your fingers close to it to catch onto it, that want to do that takes a lot. But once you want to and you're willing to go there, everything changes. Now, I really wanted to get my fingers there around anxiety. I identified as being, I didn't identify. I was a worrier. I was just a worrier. And that was a big part of my identity. Before I went into anything, there was just worry. And I carried that through my life. I didn't know what OCD was. I didn't know what high functioning anxiety was. I'd never been to see a doctor. Nothing like that. I was just a worrier. So I identified hard with that. My safe door was hard and locked in hard around that. It took for me to want to see something different and be willing to put my fingers in where that door could just slam and literally take them off. That's what it felt like. And be I'm sure there's a different way. That want is everything. What allows me to get those fingers through the door is looking at the more logical stuff that makes space for the stuff that just doesn't make sense. And looking at science and looking at neuroscience and looking at how the body works and looking at quantum physics and looking at all those that part of the brain's logistical workings, that really helped me. So what I saw for myself and what I continue to see in people is the level of anxiety that we experience. This is do some maths. I want to see it. Want to get our things through the door. The level of anxiety that we experience is in direct correlation to how much we're repressing who we're actually here to be. The question that most people and I co-create around is who are you here to be? What is the body of work that you're here to do? So how does it get to flow through? It starts with that question of who am I? If we have actively had who we are suppressed because it didn't fit, if we're too much, if we don't fit in, if we think differently, if we like getting involved when we shouldn't get involved, if those things, those ways of being aren't accepted by the people around us, which a lot of people who are here for more, to actualize more, we don't fit in, we are in different ways told to stop. And it isn't necessarily I don't like this natural expression of who you are. I'm gonna actively stop it. It's not that at all. People aren't that clever. It's just how you're being stirs something uncomfortable in me, and I don't want that. When you're here for more, you stir things in people that are not comfortable, and they will go above and beyond, out of their way to stop it, to shush you, to not that. And they do it in ways, rolling their eyes, being like, oh, we're on this. Like, a lot of it's passive aggressive. Some of it is just stop. But a lot of it is just when people are around you, like, that's like, we don't talk, don't be that way. Nah. The more that has been pushed onto us, and often the bigger reason for being that we have, the higher we feel anxiety. There is a direct correlation with how anxious we feel as to our purpose in the main. How anxious we feel is often in correlation with how much we've been squashed from being who we're here to be. And if we're here for something really big, we make the people around us very uncomfortable. They squash us harder. Stop. No, we don't like it. We don't do it that way. What are you on about? Like, shh. Quieter and quieter and quieter. And that goes against the essence of who we're here to be. Who we're here to be is a big deal. Who we're here to be is big. What we're here to do is what needs to be delivered into this bizarre, weird world that we're in. And knowing our strategy for how we're here to do it comes through knowing those two things. So if we're here for something big and it's been really squashed, we're going to be feeling insane levels of anxiety. Now, quite often, people who are here for something big, they are carrying this big mission, they are very equipped to show up in the world. So another element that I want you to consider when you're thinking about your journey, when you're thinking about who you are, what you're here to do, and getting that work to flow through you so it feels easy, eating cake and drinking tea, like the best experience. When we're thinking about that, I want you to consider, how much does strength and being strong and being the go-to person and being the one that always has it figured out and being the one that everybody at work can rely on for you to pull the pieces of the puzzle together, how much is that your role within the world? And then I'm going to ask, so there's kind of 3 parts to this. Then I'm going to ask, how good are you at presenting to the world that you have got it all figured out? That strength that you are showing everybody, that's easy, that's natural, that's just your role. How much? And that is, I refer to it in my work, and that's this Surrender Sunday element of the work, as masking, being that masked. Oh, that's reflecting off it. Being that masked person that just puts the mask on for everybody else, and that strength, and shows up in the world and at work and in their families of like, I've got this, I can do it all. When we have somebody with a big mission that is here for something so big, that they have all of the characteristics necessary for them to send that into the world the moment that they're born. When you have somebody that has that much strength and that much vision and that much mission, that's a lot for the world. And the world around you does a pretty good job of smushing you down. So instead of using all of those skills for your mission, your heartfelt mission, your purpose here, you use them as strength in different ways. They haven't gone to waste entirely. You've been honing them and using them, but in ways that aren't serving your mission because you've been told that's wrong. You've been told who you are and your work is wrong. So your levels of anxiety rise cataclysmically. But those skills that you have been born with, they're still there. And you're using them, but in ways that aren't helpful to this mission. It can almost feel like they're opposite. They're in duality. And that's very challenging. So we mask. We mask like we've got everything figured out because we feel this big something inside us. We know we're here for something more. We know it's a big deal. There's just this, can you see how there's just this disconnect within it all? Our levels of anxiety, when somebody comes to me with levels of anxiety, and this isn't like a badge of honor. I know some people go like walking around with a badge of how, oh no, I can't because my anxiety, I'm so anxious. Like, I'm not here for those people. I'm here for the people who are, oh my God, there is a disconnect between who I'm here to be and me showing up as the person that I am, and I can't hold it anymore. Those levels of anxiety, like, they are the people that I navigate and co-create with to create something so insane. I wanna explain, because today is Feel It Friday. Today is Wearing the Blues, and if you need to feel sad, like, how often does that strong person who's there for everybody else, how much does it feel like we can't feel our emotions because we're a big deal, we're like, they're coming out of us, and everybody went, no, not like that. It's like, oh, so the feelings of emotions and being who you're here to be feel actually really unsafe because you've been told for your whole life, no, 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 no. I want to explain, this is 188 from the book, My Approach to Feeling My Feelings Before Feel It Friday. Life before this 7-step formula could be summarized with 2 words: I functioned. And the way I did this was by overthinking and underfeeling. Through this suppression, I heightened my sensitivities to a piercing level where everything bothered me. Everything felt like a personal attack, everything hurt, yet I simultaneously felt numb to it all. Flipping weird. We live inside this bizarre notion of, I'm here for something big. This is my mission. I know it's so much more than me, but the whole world has squashed me into not believing that to be true. But these characteristics, these strengths of grit and determination and all of those things mean that I'm really helpful to everybody else, and I use those skills in other ways, which means that I have to mask, because this strength and this skill and grit, that it just is meant to line up with that so I can project everything I'm here to into the world. Like, they go hand in hand. Eating cake, drinking tea, easy, glorious. Like, there's a big disconnect there because everybody's told me it doesn't work. So now I have to mask, and I just kind of put these 2 things together, the masking and the strength and the grit and determination. Those 2 things together, they cause for us to lose sight of what this is, to lose sight of what our mission is here, what we're here to do, what we're here to deliver with the world. We use all of those skills where other people are like, how are you like this? And I'm like, I don't know. Those 2 things are meant to go together like hands in a glove, and yet they don't. A huge part of this is feeling whatever the heck we are feeling. How often have we gone through our world where everybody around us is, we make them uncomfortable? Just the nature of showing up as who you are, there's this discomfort, and people can feel it. It's palpable. How many of us can walk into a room and like people turn and look like, what? And we bring this energy with us that for so long it's like, oh, I need to dim that down. No, we don't. But what comes hand in hand with that is these immense emotions that, whilst we're living in the space of having this disconnect between who we are, what we're here to do, and our brilliance, when we haven't got that disconnect and this masking, like perfectionist, oh, how do I present in the world so that I'm accepted and they like me and it works? When these 2 are colliding, we repress our emotions. And we do it in all kinds of ways. When I went to a Tibetan monk who had spent 12 years in isolation, and I went to him because my hips were literally solid. I couldn't relax them. Like, I was heightening this awareness, and I realized that I couldn't relax my hips. And I went to him being like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm doing all this work. What's wrong with me? And his words to me were, your emotions are stuck inside you, and you are lucky. This is his word. You are lucky that they have gone to your hips and not to organs or not to something different. Like, you are lucky that it is stuck there. I'm like, really, I do not feel lucky. I look back and I'm so grateful. The emotions that we feel naturally as humans, they just want to flow. When you look at a toddler, look at a little kid that hasn't been broken by the grown-ups around them yet. They just feel it. However they're feeling, they just let that flow. They just let that move through them, and then they're over it. What we do when we are, especially when we're here for something so much bigger than us, and we're big, and it makes everybody uncomfortable, so they smush it down like, shh, don't do this, I'm feeling uncomfortable around you. We learn to suppress our emotions. So when we break down the physiology of humans, the brain signals to a gland to secrete a chemical to respond to what's happening outside of us. That's it. And when it all just flows through, it happens through flow. We think it, we feel it, the chemicals are secreted, and when we let it play out, it just disperses. What happens when we have anxiety and we're having that part of us smushed down to nothingness? We think the thought, we feel the feeling, we get the chemicals, and we don't like it. We think that means there's something wrong with us. So we try and reject it, like, no, I don't feel feelings. I just put my mask on and I show up and I'm helpful to everybody else or whatever it is. Like, no, that doesn't feel comfortable for me. I've been taught not to do that. So I'm going to smush it. I'm going to repress it. And we get into this cycle. Now, we can't stop the thought and we can't stop the feeling. The only thing we get to stop is us smushing it, being like, oh, that feels so uncomfortable. I'm not going to feel it. Now, one of the experiences that I talk about where everything changed, all of this was happening because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust that I was capable of handling what was contained within. These emotions that I was feeling, that I was suppressing actively, I was doing that on purpose, and I could see that I was doing it on purpose. I didn't want to stop. It felt like truly feeling and experiencing emotions would take the lid off Pandora's box. And I didn't know what the flipping heck was going to come out. So I kept the lid on tight. When I could feel these emotions coming up and I pushed them away, I knew I was actively doing that because I didn't know what was going to come out. I didn't know I was capable of handling what was going to come out. But one moment changed my experience with emotions eternally. And I hope that sharing it here with you will open up that primitive space inside you to explore your emotions too. And you might be thinking, I do explore my emotions. Like, Emma, I'm doing the work. I'm very aware that I need to feel my feelings. I love hearing other people's experiences because it unlocks something new inside me. So if you can feel your brain being like, I know how to do this, being like, oh, this is actually gonna unlock something for me. I want to experience it, because that's what I do when I feel my brain resisting and I'm like, let me lean in. My experience, I was sat in the garden of our beautiful home, because this is part of it, isn't it? Thinking we've got all these things that are meant to make us happy. So listen to them at our beautiful home, admiring my growing awareness, which I was harnessing. Oh my God, I'm doing mindset work. I'm changing my life. Like, it feels good. Feeling gratitude for the first time in my life because I'd done step 7. And I was like, oh my God, like, it's changing. It's different. I'm feeling gratitude, something that I never have felt before. Feeling gratitude towards the things which before the 7 steps weren't missed. And as I sat, something stirred within. Oh, you know this. No words could describe this moment. That's the thing with messages from the subconscious. They fall outside of 3D senses and therefore no words can depict them. But it rumbled from the deep being of my belly, a new and strange sensation. It's weird and uncontrolled, and it claws its way out, the opposite of what that mask is here to do. I could feel it slipping. It was uncomfortable. It was uncontrolled. I didn't know what to do with it. Was it a noise, a sigh, a breath? Who blew me my nose? Not me. I think that's what terrified me the most. It can't come out. I panicked. I remember it. That moment of it coming and me going, it can't come out. The neighbours will hear. How embarrassing. Stop it. Stop. No. And I could hear the trio in tandem squealing at me against this. And every part of my conscious being, the trio of fuming, I remember, but I chose in this moment to be brave, to take my pause thoughts, to see my blues in a moment of exploration. It's like being a warrior, isn't it? It's like, I don't know what this is. I can feel this awareness. You can feel yourself looking to control it. And then you can feel yourself being like, but I really want to, but I know I need to let it go. Anybody else got the trio like bouncing around? You know this moment. And then a moment to notice the trio's immediate instinctive attempt to suppress what I was feeling. I chose to step into that blue space and observe it. A volcanic emotional eruption from the depths of me spilled out, a moan that sounded animalistic. Francis, Toad and Bob clawed at it. Stop it, you weirdo. You're losing control. This is so bad. Yet, somehow I stayed with it. And then, and this is the most absolutely glorious part, it passed. It went away. Totally. No pushback, no remnants of it hanging in the background to dredge up at a later date. No scramble for it. No scramble for what in the world was that? What does it mean? What did I do? Did I do it right? Just stillness. It took up to a second, maybe 2 max, a couple of beats of discomfort, and then nothing but peace and clarity. This. Lovely to hear you read from the book. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. This feeling, it isn't a knowing, it isn't a thought, it isn't a scramble for, who am I? What am I here to do? It isn't a scramble for putting that mask up and presenting to the world what you think it is. I could hear my brain wanting to do it. What will the neighbours think? That was more important than me feeling whatever the heck that was. To my brain, that was more important. That inner power that I'm obsessed with embodying deeper and deeper and deeper comes from those moments when we feel the brain wanting to hold on. This is embarrassing. You're too much. What are you doing? Other people are going to hear. All those things that I'd learned to be true, my too muchness, my reason for being that makes other people so uncomfortable. I wanted to let go of something around that. And that ideal self, that mass version was like, no, don't do it. The power comes when you can see that dissonance and be like, I'm going to stay. Nothing fancy, nothing magical. Just staying in that moment of discomfort when the brain's screaming, run, stop, go back to being what they've all told you to be. And there is something inside you, a power so deep that makes you go, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to see what comes out of the other side of this. And in that, you are feeling things that have been with you for too long. And they release. And then that's when clarity comes in. The clarity of knowing who you are. Not who they told you to be. Who you are. Then those skills that you have been harnessing for your lifetime, putting up a mask, pretending to be something you're not, you get to start to apply them to who you truly are. Then when you're doing that, real life magic. It makes me emotional because it's so powerful. Real life magic. And it's as easy as eating cake, and drinking tea. Now, it's not simple. Can you see how non-simple that moment was, but how easy it was? This is why I'm obsessed with these. It wasn't simple. The simple thing in that moment would be to listen to my brain and run away from it like I have my whole life. But it was as easy as staying in that moment. And the clarity came with ease after that moment. That's how we uncover who we are. That's how we uncover the work we're here to do. And then when we're dedicated to those two things and seeking out ease in non-simple situations, that's when our body of work gets to flow through us. So if you have that feeling, I am here for so much more than what is in my life right now, you're dead right, you are. And a huge step in all of this is Feel It Friday. Go feel those feelings. Make it easy. It's not simple, but it is as easy as the moment that I described. I hope you have the most glorious day, feeling into whatever you need to. Wear your blues as your piggyback sensory hack reminder. Wear those blues so it keeps it alive. Like, where am I at with my feelings? What am I trying to smush down? And feel it. Pandora's box is a place to play in. Happy Feel It.